What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition, another installment, another episode. Yes, in the building again. Drop a bomb. Let's do another one. Let's do another one because we back in here. You feel me? It's March. We're here. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another edition, another installment, another episode of the Black Men Win podcast, the Black Women Win series. You feel me? Let me first just give a shout out to my mentor, my friend Tiaja Martin. What a great episode that was to kick this series off. It was an amazing episode. And we have another one for you. You feel what I'm saying? Another amazing, intellectual, inspiring woman that I have grown to love. Over like 10 years. You understand what I'm saying? She seen me when I was, a little freshman coming up in the world, you know what I'm saying? And just like Tiaja, I would love to introduce her and all her accolades, but y'all know per first question, we are going to let the interviewee, the guest on the show, gas themselves. You understand what I'm saying? So I would love for you to introduce yourself to the people.
All right, perfect. So, good morning, good evening, whenever time you listen to this. My name is Terria Crank. Most people know me as T Crank or T.
T-Crank?
Um, listen. Some major things about me. I'm from Detroit, the West Side. DPS
313 in the
alum.
building. You feel me?
You know,
313. Let me just say Detroit in the building. We holding it down. I
you
just wanted to
gotta
get
you
it.
gotta shout the city out.
Just I gotta shout the city out. You feel what I'm saying? We just had to be a little ratchet, just like that. Okay, we done.
Uh, DPS alum, graduated from PWI with my Bachelor's of Science in Women and Gender Studies, minored in African American Studies. Decided to go back to school like the rest of us and get my master's in higher education. Right now, currently, I am in seminary getting my master's in divinity.
Wow.
Um, yeah, we gonna get into that. We gonna get into
Wow.
that. Getting my master's in divinity. I worked at a couple of D2 Division 2 universities. Right now, I work at a Big 10. And then I also own a apparel company or a t-shirt business called Flame by T, which every item that we sell is bleached and individually bleached with love by me,
Yes.
and designed by me.
Amen.
And so also now I'm in listen. Also now I'm in the works of working on T Crank Speaks, which is actually a motivational thing focusing on high school and college youth. So those are like the major things about me going on right now.
First of all,
And I
let me just
retired poet. I need to throw that out there because people gonna be like,
reti-
"You ain't gonna say nothing about the poetry."
right.
Retired
Because
poet.
you know I was about to put because she knew I was about to say something. I was about to say poet, and we're gonna cut out the retired. I'm personally gonna cut out the retired. Here's the thing about T, y'all. Let me just sit here and just go a little deeper into this real quick, okay? There was not a lot of, and this is no disrespect to Grand Valley and all the talent that is there. Shout out to everybody there. But there wasn't a lot of talent when it came to poetry, music,
Mm,
singing, dancing. Either we didn't sit here and see it or we didn't want to show it, right? But
that's real.
rightfully so, we're on a we're on a PWI, right? We're at Grand Valley State University. This is a predominantly white institution. Okay. But it was something about me seeing Terria go up on stage. And I remember it was my freshman year, and it was Cafe Mahogany.
Mhm.
And I believe you were either the second to last or maybe third to last act of the show.
Mm.
And your poetry from then on was hitting. I said, if you want somebody for poetry, like your pen is crazy.
I appreciate it.
Like, I don't even want you to retire. Like, nah. Nah. Like, retired, nah, she's a poet. Now she might have put that pen down for a minute to focus on other things. Oh, but that pen will come back. I guarantee you. I'm gonna send that up to God for him to hear me on that one. All right. But Literally, it was
We'll
from
see.
it was it was from that time where she literally just like Tiaja, right? She was one of those individuals who I've never told this for real, but really mentored me from afar. She was one of
Mm,
those people who and up close, if you really want to be honest, she mentored me from afar, pouring into me, right? Always there for
mm,
any and everything. Her intelligence, her inspiration and aspiration to be better and to do better in a space where they're telling you're doing well, but
right.
you can't be this, right? And to know that you're getting another master's in divinity, it for me, knowing you the way I do, is all coming full circle. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm like, wow, we gotta clap it up for you. You feel what I'm saying? We gotta give you a hand clap of praise. Okay, because that is amazing for you to start your business, for you to be moving and
Yeah.
to move out of that environment and to start a whole new chapter in your life. Like this is, I'm happy, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and we just want to give you your flowers, queen. You feel what I'm saying?
Thank
Congratulations
you.
on
I appreciate it.
everything. Oh my God. T, we got some questions for you, right? We got some things to
Let's.
get into. You feel me? Um, so second question that is on the docket. When we talk about black women, and like I told Tiaja, when I talk to my black men on this podcast, we don't really sit here and try to talk about the stereotypical what's negative and what's positive. I try to, with these questions, I try to dig deep into the fabric of the mind of a black man, right? On a more deeper level. And the second question I want to pose to you is, when it comes to black women, how do you feel about these five areas? And are black women, even you can put yourself as an example, are you guys tapping into these um evenly when we talk about spiritual, mental, emotional, financial, and physical? Are you tapping into those? Are ones better than the other? Because the consensus when I've had my guests, my black men guest on here, is that
Mm-hmm.
when we can tap into the mental, the spiritual, and the emotional, the physical and the financial will come. So I want to hear your response to that in terms of being a black woman.
I want to when you talked about all five of those, it went
Mhm.
back to self identity, right? Which connects
Right,
to for a lot of us spiritual, mental, emotional stuff.
right,
I think once you find yourself understanding who you are, everything
yes,
in general falls into place. So,
right.
which connects to, and especially your spirituality. I'm not gonna get churchy on here. I'm telling you now, I'm not, because I can feel it hitting me.
You
I'm
bet.
not gonna get
Hey,
churchy on here.
I'm not gonna stop you if you do. You feel what I'm saying? It's not my place. It's not my
But
place.
what I will say in my personal experience is
Mhm.
when you be able to, especially for me, right? My journey, right? Started in
Absolutely.
church, deep in church in undergrad. People don't know this, but I had like a little break from church because I was still trying to navigate sexuality in church, and so the moment that I was able to recognize in myself that both of those pieces of are who I am, it was
Yes, ma'am.
easy for everything else to flow. Joy
Right.
came, peace came, like everything,
Mm.
my finances began to flow, my purpose began to flow. And so it became easy.
Mm.
See, I told you I
Come
told you I could
on,
feel it
keep
hitting me.
going, keep going, keep going.
Everything else begins to flow. And so I
Hmm.
think that even as for black women, being able to understand who you are and not letting the world's perspectives on what you should be or who you could be define who you are. I
Right,
think it makes it easier to navigate those other things. So I definitely agree.
right.
Um, yeah.
What do you because Tiaja was on the show. Shout out to her. Um, and we talked a little bit about, and this was a sidebar question. We talked about the the strong black woman trope, right?
Mhm.
And what that means in a sense of, okay, on one side of the coin, black women take that as a badge of honor, right? You guys hold that close to your heart. But on the other side of the coin, that does not allow, that doesn't tell the us, even as black men, or just other people in general, that you guys can be vulnerable, that you guys have feelings, that you
Mhm.
are able to cry, that you're able to feel. So what would you say to that when we talk about the black woman, the strong black woman trope?
I mean, to be honest, it's toxic, right? Like
Right.
just as well as we
Right, right,
just as
right,
well as we silence black men and their emotions. You know what I'm saying? It's
right,
toxic, but I
right.
think it's also taught through generation. And I
Mhm.
think since it is taught through generation, we don't think we have access to it. We don't think that we are supposed
Mm.
to feel because we've seen our grandmama never cry or never be in pain. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? Like I can't even really count on my fingers how many times I've seen my grandmother have emotion,
And that
right? Because
and that
she,
right there is a that yeah, you're right. Facts.
you know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah.
I can only imagine what that is like. I mean, even thinking about it from a historical perspective, right? Growing up
Right.
in today's world, dealing with racism, misogynistic, homophobia, all of that stuff that exists, it's already stressful. And then I have to be silent and all of that.
Right.
Like imagine the mental toll it takes on you, and imagine the toll it takes on your body. It's not
Right.
healthy for even anybody, especially the strong black woman, to hold that in them heart and into themselves because we hold stress. Our body keeps the score. And so I think it's important that we learn how to navigate not trying to be the strong black woman or not trying to be strong in general, right? And that knowing that
Mm.
strength really comes from vulnerability. I think that the strongest person is the one that can access vulnerability because that's emotional self awareness, that's emotional management. And
Right.
so I think just as a culture, we need to dismantle that. But I think that also comes with therapy, right? Which I'm so glad that millennials and Gen Z are starting to access
Oh my
because
God, yes.
now we get to break that chain, right? Break that
Mhm.
idea that we
Mhm.
need to be strong. Like we need to allow and teach our kids that it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to have pain. I mean, this is
Right.
connected to so much different stuff when we think about
Right.
the causes of trying to be strong. I mean, that's probably why most of our community got high blood pressure, right? Because we
Yeah,
holding it
well, let's
in.
talk about it.
I'm just
High
because we
blood pressure out
listen.
the wazoo, cholesterol high, and then what the and I'm not I'm not trying to be funny, y'all, but I'm just saying. But like,
But for
but like,
real,
but like, Taria has a point, y'all. Like, let's be honest here. Like, we hold a lot in, even to your point with us as millennials and the Gen Zs, where we're seeking therapy, which is amazing, right?
mm,
Whether that be in person or even through an app with Talkspace or whatever, you know what I'm saying, this talk spaces of the world, you're seeking some type of outside help from yourself in
mm,
trying to understand, well, what the hell is going on in my mind and in my
right,
body? Why do I feel so tense here? Because it ain't me working out. It ain't
right,
me. It ain't the food for real. Like, and when we talk, and to your point, when we talk about the high blood pressure and the high cholesterol and the stress, that as black folks, we always kind of equate that to, oh, you're not eating right, or oh, you're not doing that. And to an extent, that is that. But we
right,
don't take
right.
into the other half the factor that we're hyper stressed.
Hmm.
We hold a lot of our emotions and feelings in. I remember just being here in New York. I remember asking one of my boys, like, just asking him if he was okay. I asked him if he was
Hmm.
okay. That's all I did. Me and my girl went out with him and his girl, and we just started to talk. And
Hmm.
I asked him, I was like, "Yo, how you been? You been okay?" He lives. He was living in, I believe, Jersey in the moment, and he just let it out. Like,
Wow.
I mean, just let it out. And when I mean let it out, I mean it was just, bro, I'm just, and I was like, okay, calm down. I got you. I'm here to listen. Okay. I'm here to
Mhm.
listen because I see the stress on your face. I
Right.
see how much you're suffering and you don't have an outlet to let that out.
Mhm.
Right? A lot of us don't have those outlets. And if we do have those outlets, we don't utilize them when those outlets say, how are you? How's your day? How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Are you feeling better? Right? Because as a community, we kind of be like,
Right.
ah, no, I'm good. That's our favorite. That's our favorite term. Let's keep that a being. That's
Yep.
our favorite term. Black men and black women alike. That is our favorite term. Nah, I'm good. I'm straight. Oh, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm all right. We don't talk about that. So I believe that goes into the
Right.
third question that I want to ask about when it comes to
Mhm.
generational curses, or as I like to rephrase it, in generational patterns, right? Um,
Mhm.
what are some of those that you see not only within our community, but in the space of black women as well, if you see them? And then to the flip side of that, what comes, because we had Eugene on, and I will always sit here and say he really said this. He really made me think. When
Mhm.
we talk about generational curses, we never talk about the generational blessings, right?
Yeah.
And so, what are some of those generational patterns that you have seen that are maybe negative and or positive? But what are some of those blessings in return that we have learned, not only as a community but as a community of black women?
I think one of the major things that I noticed that is changing, but that was an issue, is silence. And I think you kind of touched on it. I
Mm,
think a lot of times, um, black women, especially myself, have been in a space where we silence ourselves, knowing that we have a solution to numerous of problems. But we
absolutely.
silence ourselves. And I think in the midst of silencing ourselves, sometimes we ignore, I don't want to say ignore, that's going to be touchy what I'm going to say, but I think we sometimes push what God has told us to do because we want to be silent. And
Mm,
so, because we think like if I am silent, then I am honoring this person. But reality is your voice is so needed in spaces. There are so many
right.
problems you're meant to solve and called to solve. And I
Yes.
think it's interesting that you talk about generational blessings because that's actually what I put on my graduation cap when we graduated from GV was generational blessings.
Hmm.
It had nothing to do with school, but it was the vow that I had made to myself and to my family to say, you know what, I'm going to figure out and learn ways to make sure that the next generation after me would never have to experience the things that I experienced before or my
Right.
parents
Right.
experienced or my grandmother experienced. Um, which means that's access and understanding finances and access and
Right.
understanding that robbing Peter to pay Paul is not the way that we should navigate our life. And so,
Wow.
um,
Now that's a bar right there. Did y'all hear what she just said? I just no, like for, like for real. How I don't know how many times in my lifetime and probably in my past life have I heard you gotta rob Peter to pay Paul.
to pay Paul.
Oh my God. What? And sidebar question before you keep going. Why do we use
Yes.
that?
You know what? I think honestly, I think it's an analogy. It's an analogy to the fact that we
Right.
truly don't understand finances. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes.
that
Yes.
we navigate. And this is, let me back this up. This is not
Hmm?
100% our fault. Like systematic
No, no,
racism
no.
has.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna get there,
Absolutely.
but systematic racism has definitely, hindered our people and impacted us in negative ways. What I will say though
Absolutely.
is, I think now we have the access to resources to understanding that why robbing Peter to pay Paul is not okay because at the end of the day we still owe Peter. So like we're in this cycle that
That
we
part.
need to get out of.
Hmm.
And so that was something that I decided as when I graduated, like, let me figure out ways to navigate this space. And that was just one way.
Hmm.
Um, but silence is key. And I think also another thing that I realized is we, oh, I don't want to get beat up, but
You ain't gonna get beat up. I got you.
I think I think another thing is not recognizing our worth in spaces. I
Come
think
on,
that we
talk it.
forget. I'm just I just think we forget how amazing we are. Like these are the same bodies that can hold children. These are the same bodies that nourish a whole other human, and we don't honor that worth in us. And so I think me recognizing in myself, in my generation, how we don't honor ourselves, don't honor our bodies, which
Yes.
made it so important for me to go to places like therapy because I realized, and by being silent, not being vulnerable, trying to be the strong black woman, all this other stuff that was going on, and one, not learning to love myself and love my body and what it does. Like
Mm,
my family didn't do that because, again, the silence, not understanding who you are, takes that away from
mhm,
you. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So I think that's just one of the major things is the silence and not recognizing our worthiness.
I think the when you tapped into that unworthiness, it hit because I'm like, one thing that I knew about black women, period, is that black men can't carry no kids. Like for
That's true.
like and I'm saying that to be serious. Like
Right.
black men can't carry no kids. Like hear me when
Mhm.
I say that, and there's a deeper meaning to that, and I'm gonna get into it real quick. Black men, we and I might get beat up for this comment too. So here we go. As as king-ish as we are, we
Mhm.
too step on the necks of our black women. Period.
Somebody said it. Okay, appreciate it.
Period. Right? We step on the necks of the. I was telling Tiaja on the last episode. I said it's funny because when I'm a huge docu buff, right? And over the last like year and a
Mhm.
half, I've been really tapping into a lot of um documentaries that dealt with black figures, some that were never known, some that are known during that civil rights time and everything. And one thing, the consensus that I think I got from the docus that I seen was that
Mhm.
black women were not only at the back of the movement, but were also in the front of the movement. It just so
Right.
happened, not no disrespect to my black men, right? No disrespect. But it just so happened that black men were literally put in the forefront of that. Now, I'm not saying that black men shouldn't be there, but the fact that
Right.
we didn't have more black women in that position, because here's the thing, and I'll say it again. There have been more black women to pour into me and mentor me than black men. Now, that's not a choice that I tried to make.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because I always sought out black men to get mentorship from. And to be honest,
Mhm.
black women nurtured me in a different way than it was black men. Did black men give me strength and a sort of foundation? Absolutely. Shout out to all my black men mentors out there, but my black women gave me that
Right.
too, if not two times more. And I remember I would spout this type of stuff to to some of my black men, and they be looking at me like, all right, I mean, yeah, I guess. I'm like, what you mean? Yeah, aren't
Mhm.
you married to a black woman? Don't she hold you down?
Right. Right.
Who's
Right.
outside? Because my thing is, I always say this, T, let the roles have been reversed, right? Let black men would have had kids, had a cycle. Okay.
Right.
Let us would have had everything, even a fraction of what y'all go through. Do y'all think we would sit here and be all macho man Randy Savage out here in the streets? Hell no. Get me some water and some pain pills. What are we
Right.
talking? Like we would like
Right.
I always think about this like black men getting pregnant? Oh, absolutely not. What? Carrying a baby for 9 months? Oh, and we have the nerve to
Man.
step on our black women's necks. Now, I'm not saying that everybody is perfect because we're not all perfect. You understand what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
fact of the matter is, we have to sit here and try our best as black men going forward to really put our black women in those positions of power, knowing and influence, knowing that
Right.
they're going to do a better job than us. And that's the thing.
That's right.
We will not relinquish that because, oh, she's going to upstage me. Yeah, nigga, she is. Yeah, she talks better than you. Yeah, she writes better
Right.
than you. Her voice can get
That's
to a
real.
different mass than us. I've seen how black women's voices can carry, like, shall we take the Obamas for example?
Okay, Michelle.
M-
Man, Michelle.
what? We're calling for Michelle to run in 2024. I don't know if she's going to. But when she was the first lady of that White House, she held that
Mhm.
man down. And not only did
Right.
she held that man down, she held that White House down.
Yep.
Now, that's my first lady. All right. For
Come on.
somebody to for somebody to be in there 8 years, and you have had everybody, everybody come
Mhm.
at your head, even a damn near death attempt on your life and on
Yep.
your kids, you
Right.
still stayed strong in beauty, in compassion,
Mhm.
and probably behind closed doors. And to your point, T, behind closed doors, black women will cry, but y'all won't cry in front of us or in front of the public. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? Y'all will go in the back, right? And that's just not black women. That's the black people thing, period. But specifically for
Yeah.
black, y'all will sit here and hold it down, and then go take a
Yeah.
cry in the back, right?
Right.
And my thing is, black men, we could never, right? We could try, but we could
Right.
never, but because we don't experience that. Am I wrong here? Am I off?
No. No, you own it. You own it. And I think too, and I want to go back to a point that you made is
Mm-hmm.
I've mentored more black men than I have
You
mentored
have,
black women.
yes, yes,
And so I think it has to do with a lot of different stuff, but I would say that strength is not just about, or what we define as strength is not just in masculinity,
yeah,
right? That we have to honor the feminine strength too. And I
yes,
think the same thing in black men, like we bring out that feminine strength, but we
yes, you
have
do.
a lot of us in our community have said, oh, if it's a feminine, it's weak. We connect femininity to weakness, which is a problem, right?
Right,
Like
very
my
much.
femininity is not a weakness at all. The fact that you don't even have access to yours is a problem that you need to
Yep,
take to Jesus and the
yep.
counselor, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you're not accessing the fullness of yourself, right?
Facts.
And that energy is important. And so, and to your point, as you say, I think that we need to get away from in the community that, oh, a black woman can't help a black man. I'm like, what? Like if this black man especially is going to experience black women in his life, is probably the smarter idea to allow him to learn from another black woman. That
Right,
makes no sense to cut him off and say he can only learn from black men, right?
right.
Because the point of our existence is something that you need. Like we clearly need each other in this world for some way and some reason.
Absolutely,
And so
absolutely.
um, just in ways of support. And so I think that what you're saying is true. I think that also there's a handful of black men, and I'm not gonna go on the podcast because on podcast black men be pissing me off. Not you, but you know the ones I'm talking about. That be on the podcast be saying that crazy stuff. Okay, that I'd heard a couple.
Listen.
Okay, and so with them, they in that regards, right? Like how are you honoring your mama? Right? Like in the words that you say, how are you
Oh,
honoring your grandmother?
oh,
I
get.
just be the math is not mathing. Like the fact that you could disrespect black women and just say it so smoothly without ease
And
tells me
then
that
go to
there's an
your
issue
grandma's
with
house
your
and eat her
femininity.
pound cake. I'm just saying,
Be like, I love you,
huh?
grandma.
I
What?
love you, grandma. I love you, mama.
And your daughter. They don't think about their daughters. Like it's just so much, and it's like, wow, something wrong with y'all.
Yeah, I always had a thinking like when I have my kids and I may have a girl, right? May have a black daughter coming in. I'm like, I was raised by a strong single black mom, right? Shout
Mhm.
out to my dad. He passed when I was 12, right? But when I was in my dad's care, um, I felt like he really taught me at a young age what compassion was. Like, I felt like my dad,
Mhm.
even if he didn't understand femininity, he accessed it very well, right? Um, he was in tune with his emotions, even though he was a player. All right, player Henry out here in these streets. Um, he was a player. I listen. My daddy was out here. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to my dad. You feel rest in
Right.
peace. But he was out here. But I feel like he could tap in with women on such a deeper level because he accessed his femininity. You understand what I'm saying? The
Mhm.
women that he had around, or his girlfriend at the time, the last time I seen him before he passed, she loved him unconditionally, right? He had a heart condition. He would always be in the hospital. He smoked cigarettes, but when he was around me, he didn't do none of that. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I can't
Mhm.
speak for my brothers, but when he was around me, he did none of that. But his compassion, his love, like, I'm not gonna say he wasn't a black man at the end of the day, especially a black man who grew up in the South in Florida. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a whole different type of
Right.
black man, right? So for him to
Mhm.
encompass even a fraction of femininity and understand, like, yo, say what you feel, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna hurt you, but say what you feel. You understand what I'm saying? Let's talk, let's have a
Mhm.
conversation. I was like, wow, that's amazing, because you don't get that
Yeah.
from a lot of dads. A lot of dads are telling you to buck it up, buttercup. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Put your big boy drawers
Man
on.
up.
You man up. You
Right.
feel what I'm saying? Don't sit here and show emotions, because emotions will get you killed. Emotions will get you weak. And to some degree, I don't agree with that, right?
Right.
Because I've seen how personally my emotions has affected the individuals around me. And let me just say that over time, I've seen a lot of my friends open up when they were very
Right.
closed off. When my friends, particularly black men, were closed off because I'm the one who wanted to talk about this, and that, and what was going on with them. It went from, oh, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, to, let me talk to you because I trust you. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
I see you. I see that you're bringing a space where I can trust and have this conversation. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's that little by little, and to your point, black women mentor black men all the time.
A hundred
All
percent.
the time, 100%. And no, it ain't sitting here making him, just out here just to be unstrong or weak. It's a different
Mhm.
type of strength that he's tapping into. I know that I've tapped
Right.
into. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying? And to your point, when you are in it and full and whole and giving your authentic self, people get scared by that,
Yeah.
right?
No. A
People
hundred
get
percent.
Yeah, people get scared by that. And it's frightening for people, because they're like, what is that? Not necessarily
Mhm.
at you, but they're like, what is that? And I tell people I'm operating in my full wholeness. You understand what I'm saying? I'm masculine and I'm feminine at the same damn time. I can tap into my
Right.
feminine energy at any point in time. You understand what I'm saying? But don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
You will get your ass whooped if need be. You feel what I'm saying? That's just what that
I
is.
hear that.
So
I hear that.
it's just like, I want my black men to understand it's okay to tap it into. It's okay,
Yeah.
even if it's just a
Yeah.
fraction of that, right?
Yeah.
So,
And I think
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna jump to your point is that I think that the moment that you just live life in only this mindset of just only masculine, 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 you
Right,
toxic.
right,
You toxic to everybody you're around. You toxic to people you connected to. You toxic to your children. You toxic to your wife or your girlfriend. Like you're toxic because
right.
those people need that side of you, right?
Absolutely.
Like that's important. You walking around here macho man is doing what for the world, right? It's just
Yeah,
you. When I see a man and when I encounter men is especially the macho men is that you look weak and you look insecure when you carry yourself like that, You don't
Mm,
come off as like you got it together. You come off as you're protecting a scared little boy inside of you. And
right.
so the point of helping you mature as a man is the access to understanding how women can help you instead of
Yes.
stepping on their necks. But when you only show that macho man, you're not letting that little boy in you that needs to become a man grow. And so that's just my take on it. But
Mhm.
and like I said, I am a more masculine presenting woman. So I think men allow themselves to be open to me in a sense because
Mhm.
they're like, oh,
Mhm.
you a little masculine, you get it. But then when I start tapping into that feminine, so they're
They're
like,
like,
oh,
ah.
right, I want to give it all, but let
Ah.
me, because you got that little bit in you, like let me just, But it's that about you said that safe space. They forget how important women are their safe spaces while
Oh
they
my
stepping on the back of their
God.
neck.
That is so let me tell you something, and I'm gonna tell y'all personal. When I met my girlfriend here in New York, she is straight Bronx. You understand what I'm saying? Shout out to the BX. She from the Bronx, born and raised BX heavy. Okay.
Right.
To your point, she's a little bit more masculine in a sense where she was raised by her mom, but she has damn near all brothers, right? Like she has
Mhm.
like well, she has a lot of brothers and sisters, but um like the ones that raised her were her brothers. So it was just like I could tell her masculine nature. And
Mhm.
it took me a while. And it's weird because the kind of gender roles reversed, right? I had to tap into my feminine in order to sit here and kind of demasculate her over masculinity a little bit. Because
Mhm.
she had to be so over masculine, not to say she didn't know how to tap into her femininity, but it was
Right.
like I gave her a safe space for her to do so. Because there are women out
Mhm.
here that literally have to put that guard up of masculinity and really be out here when
Mhm.
really they want that safe space as well. Right.
Right.
And so, to your point, when you talk about that safe space, black men have to understand women are truly, and I agree 150,000%, are truly, black women are truly a safe haven. And we have to treat that with so much care. I'm learning that
Yeah.
as I go. Trust me. You have
Yes.
to treat this place where you can allow yourself to talk and everything. You have to treat that safe haven with respect and love. So the next time you want to come and bear your heart in that safe space,
Yep.
that she'll be able to listen to you and that she can do the
Right.
same with you.
Yeah.
And it's about tapping into that. So going into that fourth question, what
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
can what can we do not only as a black community, but particularly for black women? What can we do individually or as a community to continue to uplift and how can I say guide the next generation? Because as I told Tiaja on the show, um, we are now the uncles, the aunts, the god brothers, or the god parents,
Okay.
right? We're becoming mothers, right? I was about to say god siblings, but we're the godparents, right? We're we're
Right. Right. Right.
becoming we're becoming parents, right? Mothers,
Mhm.
fathers, and the more I see us continuing to elevate and grow, specifically the ones that I know and that I see and that I keep up with, I see us growing, becoming parents, becoming business owners, doing things a lot differently than what our parents are doing. And in this new generation, it is all about social media. It is all about that iPhone. It is all about the
Yeah.
technology. What can we do as a community, and specifically to you as a black woman, black women can do
Mhm.
to help those black little girls who are seeing you as someone of influence in a way, right? Like what can we how can you guys or what are your thoughts on that?
I think one of the major things I thought that came completely to mind is trust me as you trust me enough to give me your emotions and your thoughts. And this is not me personally because my fiance is a woman, but
Right.
as my brother, as my friend, right? Trust me enough to give me your emotions, but also trust me enough to lead you, and don't be
Mm.
afraid. And when we talk about, I think the idea around that is when we think about leading, we like who get to call the shots. It's like it's not about who gets to call the shots, right? Who's the captain, right? It's about if you have a better idea than me, I have to trust you in that.
Exactly.
And so I think the issue is sometimes is I think, this is kind of back to the point, but it's going to touch onto this new question is black men sometimes come up as afraid that they don't know it all. And it's like, but your black woman that you know, she has the answers
Yep.
because she is analytical, because she is
Wow.
watching. She has that what do they call intuition? That's intuition
Yes.
that is
Yes.
so important to
Yes.
access. So it's okay that you slide to the side and let her use her voice. And
Right.
so that's what I want to touch back on with question four is for these little girls. Allow little girls to grow into women with voices. Allow
Mm.
these little girls to grow into women with passions, right? If they don't want to do what we exactly see femininity should be, allow them to
Mhm.
be whoever that they are.
Right.
Because the moment that you start silencing their voice, they start to lose who they are as individuals. There are so many times I can remember as a child myself that there are things I wanted to do, but because and this is no shade to my family, this is no shade to my parents, because women were looked at as this. There were
Right.
things that if for example, if I shoveled the snow, right?
Hmm.
If I shoveled the snow, and in a lot of adults' minds at that point was like men only shovel the snow and put the salt out.
Absolutely.
I'm
Yep.
like, in my mind, the snow just needs to be shoveled because if
Shovel.
we don't,
That's it.
we just gonna slip and fall. And so I don't understand for our why our in our community that process is just not that simple, right?
Hmm.
We need to get move forward as a community. We need to be moving forward as a people. If we keep trying to say no, you need to stay in the background, we'll never move forward because we're so
Hmm.
busy trying to tell you no, you can't move. And so I think it's the same thing with addressing these children and these especially these little girls is that allow them to explore. If they want to be doctors, lawyers, they want to be judges, they want to be cops, whatever they want to be,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Allow them to explore that. If they want to be boxers, I don't care. If we see it as stop putting femininity or masculinity on a freaking job or a role. Let
Right.
these girls be who they are and navigate that
Come
space.
on.
Stop silencing them.
Yes.
Um, so that would be my biggest thing that I would say that our community that black men could do. I think also nourishing that black girl. And also don't I know black men just they love their daughters. They be like, oh my little precious daughter, I can't let her touch the world. I gotta hold her forever. But then let their
Yep.
black son run around like a knucklehead.
Out here just knucking if you bucking.
Okay, like I'm not saying let either of your children run around like knuckleheads, but what I am
Exactly.
saying is that if you do want to shelter her, if you do want to love on her, also teach her and help her see your feminine side. So when she meets a man who is not in touch with his feminine side, she can be like, you know what? That ain't gonna work because that doesn't match the energy that I learned growing up. That doesn't match.
Right.
And people
Right.
forget what you learn as kids, what you attract as into adults. Like
Absolutely.
what your the values that your mama taught you, your daddy taught you, whatever, you attract that in the people you start to date, that you start to be around, your friendships. And so if you want to have healthy children, you have to be a healthy self. And so I think, accessing that balance, right? As you talked about with your girlfriend is balancing this being feminine and being masculine, that there's a balance.
Right.
And one is when one is off, it struggles, right? And there's
Yep.
another one off,
Yep.
it's a struggle. So just
Yep.
finding that balance and teaching your children how to find that balance as well.
Wow. That first of all, clap for that. Okay. Clap for that. Woo! Woo! That was a wow because
Goofy.
she hit on the no, but no for real. Like you touched on something that was really sound in saying like letting our daughters or our future daughters really just learn the world, right? And I want to talk real quick because sometimes we pour our energy, we pour our energy. And I'm not a parent, let me just say that. But
Right.
as I continue to observe, because I believe one of my superpowers is observation. I am a great observer. I watch very closely. See, to your point, is that black men, when we have daughters, we hold them so close. We hold them so tight. I might get canceled for this. We baby our daughters and we don't sit here and teach them.
Mhm.
Okay. And to T's point, we sit here and we let our black boys go crazy because what we've been conditioned and learned to do is that boys will be boys and girls will be girls, and
Yep.
that's the whole type of that's it. and
Mhm.
and you can't do that because you're not a you're not a you're not a boy. And it will be it's like, and I'm not saying you have to go into the egregious steps, right? Teach your child right from wrong. You understand what I'm
Right.
saying, and all of that good stuff. But allow them to explore what they want to explore. Now, again, there's some nuances there, of course, but at the end of the day, allow them to be their individual selves. Tia just said something so important. She was talking about
Right.
um one of her line sisters who is a mother, right? And she was just saying, like, she had to understand that children are human.
Mhm.
Do we not
Yes.
hear me when I say that again? Children are human, people. If you're listening to watching this, your daughter is human. You keep protecting her and sheltering her, she's going to find a way out the house. And
Right.
then you're
Come
going to
on.
sit here and be all in flux and in fluster, like, oh my God. Here's the thing, black man. We low key put our energy on our kids. Like, if you were the one to be out here doing the do in the streets, doing all of that, and you haven't changed your ways, but you have a daughter, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a son, you're going to look at your daughter like, you can't date anyone like me. Well, that's very contradictory to what you're saying because she's looking at your lifestyle.
Come on.
You understand what I'm saying? She's looking at the lifestyle. Like, bump our sons real quick. All right. Daughters are going to look at us. They want to be daddy's girls. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
let's keep that a being. And they're going to look and say, well, my daddy did that. Just to T's point, my daddy was that. So I want something like that, whether that's a
Right.
negative or a positive. I want something like my father. Or some black women will sit here and say, I knew my daddy was no good. And I don't want nothing like him. I
Right.
love him, but that's nah. So as black men, we sit here and shelter our daughters so much that we don't realize that our daughters, when they grow up, are looking exactly for the same thing that is you, the father.
Yep.
And not in appearance, right? But in emotion, in feelings, in action.
Yep.
And so when us as fathers, or when fathers sit here and see, your daughter getting a boyfriend or something like that, we all get huffy and puffy and want to beat up our chest and shit. But it's like, for what? What you beating
Yeah.
up your chest for? Huh? Because your daughter is finding somebody that's loving her unconditionally,
Yeah.
doing things that's different from you, showing her different than what you showed her. Because sometimes as black men, we don't take that L and saying, you know what? I didn't raise you right. I want
Mhm.
y'all to hear me when I want y'all to hear me when I said that.
That's
I
good.
didn't I didn't raise you right. I
Right.
raised you how I was raised. That's a
Yeah.
historical thing within our community, just not with black women, but black men as well. That's a historical thing. I raised you based on how I was raised. I had a mom who I will die for because she literally told me at a young age, I don't want to raise you how your grandmother raised me.
Yeah.
I want to give you an opportunity to have a conversation. Was it hard at moments? Absolutely, because I seen some of, and looking back at it now, I seen some of, my grandma and my mom and how she was raising, and I still see it a little bit today. But my
Mhm.
mom gave me space and opportunity to literally just flow. You understand
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Flow it out.
And I
And
want to touch on that. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to touch on that before we move on because I think what you said was so important. Like even as a woman who is LGBT, getting married to another woman, even though I wasn't looking for a man like my dad, his values
Right.
are instilled in me. So
Right.
like thinking about to your point, like your mom's values are instilled in you. So it's
Absolutely.
important the way that not only just, oh, if they find a person, they get a boyfriend, whatever, it's like the way I lead my life and I make decisions, I'm watching you
Yes.
do that. The way
Yes.
that you navigate, if you're not teaching me about you just saying that you the only one that make money. So I'm thinking in my mind, well dang, I guess I can't make money because I'm not a man. Like you those
Right.
values are important. Like
Right. Right.
but
Right.
people forget, like you said, children are human, but they also are like sponges. And so
Yes.
you're not thinking like, well, let me educate them about money, how budget actually works. Why do I go to work every day? Those things are important. Those values are important.
Yep.
And so I think to your point is that we also just have to be very intentional about the values and the
Mm,
lessons that we teach our children. And then also, like you said, being able to just look at your child and say, look, the people, your grandma, she did some stuff. We gonna make some better choices because even in their decision, they're trying to be a generational blessing in the best way that they know how to
absolutely.
you. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not teaching you a bunch of stuff about buying a house and all of this stuff, they just trying to be better than what
Right.
they
What
mama
they
did or
were.
to their grandma. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So I just wanted to touch on that point because I think what you said is really, really important about values.
It is because and I'm gonna be honest with you, T. It's to me for a long time. I didn't see the next generation really getting values instilled in them, and I was scared.
Mm. Say
I was
more.
re-
Now I'm
I
intrigued.
was I was very scared. I always said on my other podcast, the Opinionated Brother, Quick Pup, I always said like we as millennials, whether we're older or younger in a sense, right? We were kind of the last generation to be instilled with some type of value by our
Mm.
parents. Because when I see a lot of these kids now, no disrespect, I don't see instilled values in them. Not a lot. Not a lot. There's a handful. Now, I will say that there's a handful. But when I see a lot of the newer generation, T, it's disheartening when the very fabric of common sense does not even go into a let's be honest. That's a value that I will always love my mom for. She instilled in me common sense.
Right.
Common sense will tell you that ain't it. Common sense will tell you that stove is hot. Don't touch that shit. Now we
Mm.
touched it anyway to be, bad as hell. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we learned,
Right.
right? My thing with some of this generation is like this newer generation is like, I don't see the instilling of values in them. Like it's coming a little later, right?
Right.
Because they're having mentors like you who are snatching them up and being like, yo, hold up. You moving out here too. You moving wrong out here, bro. You moving
Right.
a little wild. You understand what I'm saying? And so for me, it's always been scary because I'm like, when I think about how in this day and age, as we're living as full-fledged adults and in real time we're seeing war happen,
Yeah.
we're seeing racism happen, we're seeing COVID happen and everything like that. It is so important for you to move in such a diligent way that it's scary when I don't see it done by the new generation. And to my point with that, it's like
Mhm.
mentors like yourself are snatching these kids up one by one and trying to instill some values that, don't cancel me, their parents may not have.
Mm. You know, this what I would say, right? Because
Mhm.
Gen Z has been teaching me about them. Because I used to feel the same way about Gen
Right,
Z.
right, right,
Okay,
right.
because this
Get me
is
together. Get me together.
no, because no, what you're saying is real. I think off of first hand experience is real. But once I
Right.
got to have conversation, like I just needed to know where this thought process came from, or like the fact that y'all thought they think that they know everything. Like Gen Z comes off as like I know this already. You ain't gotta tell me nothing.
Absolutely,
And so I had to
absolutely.
challenge that because I'm like, I don't
And
understand where
to
y'all got that from.
and to its well, I will go back to what me and Tiaja said because now because me and Tiaja talked about this a little bit too, right?
Mm,
We as the cousins, the older cousins, brothers,
right,
sisters, even mothers and fathers,
right.
we gotta entitle these kids. Am I wrong?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's another thing. But you know what I was what I would say is this. I had to recognize that they have access to information that we
That we
got
didn't.
later.
Oh,
We didn't get until they got access
fact.
to information. They like for example, I recognize that they were pictures of them as kids are on Facebook. Right?
Yes.
Like
Oh Lord.
we had to upload pictures of ourselves in the 90s, so they had access to information differently. And so their mindset is, and I'm not Gen Z, but being around them, I'm starting to understand how they think is,
Right, 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 right.
well, I've been on the internet since I was 3 years old. Y'all taught me
You
how to
taught me
use
this.
this.
Yep.
You
Yep.
exposed me. Give
Yep.
me by when I was a baby, you gave me your phone to play games on because irritating you. So
Yep.
now I know how to navigate.
Ooh.
Now I know how to navigate stuff because you gave me access without understanding what you was doing. So we depend upon each other. But at the but at the same time, Gen Z can get disrespectful because they challenge our way of living constantly, and it's annoying because for many millennials, for many of us, we leaned on the love and the grace and the beautifulness of our grandparents. Most of
Absolutely.
us spent time like anybody I talk to that's a millennial, we all can be like, we stayed at our granny house and watched Young and the Restless as a kid all the
Yep.
time.
Yep.
They didn't have that same opportunity to understand the thinking of our grandparents. All of them basically passed on about time
Right.
that they start to get values. So the
Right.
values that our moms and that we're teaching them was just it's kind of just based off of hearsay. We didn't because they didn't get it from the sources. We
Right.
got it from our
Right.
grandmothers. And then the same thing is too. When they was younger, we did kind of be like, "Leave me alone, be on my phone." You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree, I think part of that common sense was missing because technology. A lot of them, for example, didn't play outside the same way as we played outside.
You're
They
right.
didn't understand
You're
about
right.
being inside when the street lights was on. Like those
You're right.
values we got because the phone wasn't there. So technology has it's a, like I said, it's pros to cons to technology, right?
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah. Yeah.
beautifulness is that we have connection, we can do stuff like this. The scary thing is that it takes away some of that street sense because I think that's what we have that we like. Why the hell you ain't got no
Boom.
street? Why you ain't got no street smarts?
Boom.
You know what I'm
Because you
saying?
can
But it's
because you
like,
can have all the education in the world. You can have you
where but they can make a TikTok out of this world. But they
yo.
have their own talents, and so I think my job right now is trying to figure out how do I nourish that in them. Like, how can I also teach you
Mm.
strength smarts,
Yes.
but then nourish the
Yes.
fact that like you are very informative, and if I give you something to do, you can figure it out in like less than I can. because
Right.
you've been in this informational age. I've been in it too, but my navigation is different. And
Oh yeah.
so
Oh yeah.
they so I like I said, this is street smarts that some of them struggle with. And I think that's where
Yes.
millennials is like, what's happening? But we just gotta nourish their strengths. We gotta nourish what
Mm,
they can do.
I like
And
that.
then while we nourishing that, we can be like, let me give you some game real quick. Let me show you that like you can do it this way, but let me show you how we used to do it and why this makes sense too. So
Right. Because we grew up, we were the test dummies for social media. We were the creators of social
listen,
media. We had the sidekicks and the razors before these kids had
listen.
the iPhones and the Samsung Galaxy
I started with a
22s.
flip. Okay, I had a flip phone.
Listen, same. I had the razor
Now,
from Verizon. I was like, click. What are we talking about? Them phones was lit. Bring them bitches back. What are we talking? The titanium boys, not this
right.
plastic shit. Oh my God. Like that is what we grew up on. And and to your point, we still had landlines in the crib.
Listen, come on, come
We still
on.
had
It was something
landlines
about
in the
that house
crib.
phone.
Yes, it was something about that house phone. You had to call the crib. You understand what
Listen,
I'm saying?
they don't know
When
about
my
that 9 o'clock. Call me after
no,
9. They don't know about that. When my mid is free, they don't know about that.
yo, when the minutes are free.
They don't know
Oh
about that.
my God. Yo, quick story. I'm gonna go off in a quick tangent real quick. My mama
Yeah.
took me off her plan. Do you hear me? Now I was being very, but this is again, this is being very belligerent at a young age. You feel me? We had Verizon, and by that time, Verizon again was like the top wireless service out there. So I'm on her plan, and again, we got free nights and weekends. Again, these kids don't know about free nights and weekends.
Right.
You are not supposed to call anybody
Right.
between before 9 o'clock.
Right.
Don't no. If it ain't mama, if the
Right.
emergency contact, don't call nobody. You better text them. You got
Right.
unlimited text. Cool, bet.
Limited.
Unlimited. Yo, I had a girlfriend at the time. I was 16. No, I was 15. And I ran up that bill. Do you hear me? I called, we talked from like 5 to like 10. So 5 to 8 or 5 to
Yeah.
9, they about to charge my mama out the wazoo. Okay? And that every time you get that bill, they gonna tell you the number, how many
Yep.
minutes they went over, and how much that
Mhm.
overcharge was. Yo, my mama tore me in a new one and said, "You're going straight to Metro PCS." And she took
That's
me
that's all
that
right.
day. And that was a lesson. Do you hear me? That
Yeah.
was a lesson. And the crazy thing is, I had the little and Metro back then was just coming out.
Mhm.
I mean, they just started.
Yep.
I had that little, it was like it could fit in the palm of my hand. It was like one of them little phones, that little screen with the small but yo, my mama was so petty. I was like, oh my God, this is trash. Like, I was like, oh, I felt so poor. Like, I was like,
Man. No, for real.
because these kids don't know, right?
They
But
don't.
to your point, it's nourishing their minds, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we, not to say we know what's better and how to move a little bit better, because to your point, they grew up in the information age. Yeah, we did too, but they were little. And like you
Mhm.
said, hey, you got games on your phone?
Right.
That was a common question
That
for
was
like
all
10
them.
years by them. You got games on your phone? You got games on your phone? You got games on your phone? Fun run. Okay.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, do you got games? And what we didn't understand is that these giving them the phone was an access, a gateway
Yeah.
to not only knowledge, but maybe even the flip side of that is not giving them the ability to learn how. we kind of had to learn. Again, we
Yeah.
went outside and played. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
playing basketball outside with my cousins in the backyard, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, these kids playing basketball, on 2K and shit like that, and through the phone with four of them in the house, not doing
Yeah.
nothing. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it's like, well, damn, y'all can go
Yeah.
outside and get some air.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy? I realized too is that like connection for them is different. Like for
Oh,
us,
facts. Yeah,
going outside with your friends is great. For them, being on FaceTime with your friends is convenient. So
exactly.
like walking, you know what I'm saying? Like we navigated our community different. Like
Right,
I'm walking
right,
down the street with you. You know,
right,
for example, like when you would walk home with your friends, y'all walked home together. Everybody
right.
walked to each other's houses,
Yep,
making sure everybody
yep,
got safe. Now I can walk to my house, you walk to your house, and we FaceTiming each other all the way home. Like it's
yep.
a different way of
Yeah.
connecting. Like I said, it's beauty, but it's cons. And so I think part of it. I'm not saying we didn't give them attention. We gave them some attention,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I think to a certain degree we were also teenagers, and we was like, yo, here, little son, be on my phone, have a great time. We didn't understand technology at that point. We 15,
No.
16. You know what I'm saying? We're not thinking that, dang, we might be, we're not thinking into it. Neither are our parents because they just learning cell phones too. Everything is coming to fruition. And so
Right.
I think now their way of communication is different. And so
Facts.
that's why I'm like, the street smart thing is what they missing, but they got the
Mhm.
internet streets on lock.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, they know about all the Twitter beefs. I'll be like, what's going on in the world? I don't even know. Okay, they be on
Right.
all the blogs, so they have those streets on lock. But I think just figuring out how to get them to understand the world every day is
Yes.
gonna be something we'll have
Without
to
the
do.
internet.
Yeah,
Right.
without the internet, because we don't know if one day this all may shut down. Like, but we know how to live. They may not,
The
and so
and that's always, and I think that's my general fear, is
yeah,
that if the grid just up and just shuts the fuck down, what's gonna happen to a lot of these Gen Zers who only know the internet and have
yeah,
not experienced the world, right? Because there are a lot of Gen Zers who can navigate both, who experience the world and got the internet streets on lock,
yeah,
right? But there's a lot of them also, to the flip side of that, who can't. They just know the
yeah,
internet streets, to your point, right? And they don't know that street smarts. They haven't experienced the world. And so that's always my fear with that.
yeah.
Like, if this shit shuts down, which it can at any point in time,
Hmm.
I'm scared about how they're gonna live, T.
You know, but this makes me think about my granny, right? Who can make
Mm.
biscuits from scratch, and
Oh,
I need Pillsbury Doughboy to help me. It's the
Jesus.
same concept to a certain degree. Like
Well, yeah, you're right.
she probably can be like one day, I'm just saying like maybe one day she could be like, man, what happened to if all Pillsbury Doughboy just shut down? How she gonna learn how to make biscuits? I don't
Right,
know, Granny. I'm just not gonna have biscuits, right? But
right,
it's
right,
the same concept. It's like
right.
we had to teach them how to use a phone while they were teaching us about cooking. So how can we again
Facts.
those strengths and those weaknesses? They was making from scratch.
Yeah,
Okay.
from
We get it out the
scratch.
can. So it's just
Yeah.
how do we navigate those skills where and that's the thing that's the important thing about living in generations,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where one generation is not strong at, another generation is.
Direction
That's the
is
point in
absolutely,
community. And so I'm trying to figure out how to nourish them into that community. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. Going into our last question, when
Yeah.
we talk about Black women win, right? Because that is the name of this amazing series. When we talk about Black women win, what does that mean to you? When you hear that phrase, Black women win, what is that? How does that resonate with you?
Man, black women winning. I mean, besides Black Girl Magic and Black Girl Excellence and all that
Mm-hmm.
stuff, I think for me, black women winning is just black women being able, like I've been saying this whole podcast, is black women just being able to be 100% themselves in all spaces, and
Yes.
just being able to be loved and
Yeah.
understood, right? And so, and accessing their own self love and their own self worth,
Yes.
worth. I think also black women win is also black women being heads of companies, black women
Right.
being though places and making decisions. And
Right.
I think
Right.
what's beautiful that's starting to happen, like for example, you have Biden nominated a black judge. Like it's beautiful to see
Absolutely. Yes.
black women in those spaces watching us win. Um, and I think also black women starting to be seen, as you talked about, previously in our conversation, is black women, they going from just being called the backbone of the movement, but also being
Mm-hmm.
seen as the front runners of the movement and
Right.
being honored as those front runners.
Right.
I think that's when I think about black women win, because when black women win, we all win, and that's
And
just
that's it.
100 for me.
And that's it. I really do believe that. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? One of my interviewees was like, when black men win, black men win. And I had to pause. I said, well, wait a minute. You
that's
right.
it. That's them the only
You
people that
right.
win.
You right. Because when black women win, not only do black women win, but we all win. Because the fabric of a black woman is, even though you get on my nerves,
I'm gonna take you with
I'm
me.
going to take you with me at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When I tell you, that has been the concept that I have learned since I was a child, because I know I got on every, and T can probably be a witness to it. Every black woman that has come in contact with me, I have probably gotten on their nerves in some degree, shape, or form. Period. But they have always stuck by me. They
Yeah.
never sat here and looked at me. They probably looked at me crazy and was like, "What the fuck you doing?" Okay. But never did they not nourish me. You understand what I'm saying? They were
Mhm.
always nourishing. It's amazing when we say, when black women win, we all win,
Yeah.
because that is a true fact. Because y'all are always taking us with you, right? And not just us. Like, when I think about that statement, I think about how our ancestors really gave their all to other races, particularly white people. Like, when you think about, when I hear that, for real, I immediately, what I thought about in my head was, either our white counterparts don't understand that a lot of the nourishment that you're missing
Mhm.
came from black women. Who
Talk
was
about it.
nursing your children back then?
Talk about it.
Do we need to go there? Who was nursing your children back then? Who was their nannies? Who was, literally, and I don't
Look.
want to get, vulgar, but those white babies were sucking on black titties.
You right. I
Am
wouldn't have
I
said it like
wrong?
that, but that's that's right.
Am I wrong? Now, that may be a little vulgar. I'm sorry. But it's a point I'm trying to make. Like, I think about, when I heard you say that, I thought about the movie The Help,
Mm.
and how black women literally just, not only did they care for their own children, come home, cook, try to help the man out,
Mhm.
take care of their kids, but they're going across town to take care of some other family's kids.
Yeah.
And to me, you wonder why there's no nourishment in your family. It's
Mm.
because the black woman gave you that. And
Yeah.
I'm here to, and I will say that 150%. I will say that every time. White people can look me up and down and look at me as I'm crazy, but it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to all the white mothers out there, but some of your grandmothers back in the day was not taking care of y'all. It was, it was, it was, it was the, it was the what's a old school black woman name? It was the,
Not the Earth, the jeans, and
come
the.
on, it was the, stop playing with me, T, because it was the Eartha jeans, right?
The
Shout out to
Fanny
my
Lou.
grandma, the Fannie Lou's. Shout out to my grandma, the Geraldines of the world,
Yeah.
the Gwendolyns of the world.
The Gwendolyn.
because that's my auntie name. Rest in peace, the Gwendolyn's of the. You have to understand, these were women who were raising kids that were not their own.
Yeah.
And some of and you and it's interesting to me that you find that a lot of white folks are missing nourishment in their lives, and I equate that back to the black woman, because black women were literally feeding you
Yeah.
nourishment, and
Wow.
not
Wow.
and not even in the giving milk sense, but it's just like I'm teaching you, I'm helping you with your homework. When your
Mhm.
mom is on the phone, get yakking and yakking when she needs to be here, right? But we were in such a, and to your point, we're in such
Yeah.
a, we're still here in a sense, but back then we were such in a systematic state of oppression and racism and discrimination for so long that
Yeah.
white kids during that time was probably looking like, yo, that's my mother. I don't know you,
Yeah.
lady.
Yeah.
That's my mom. She raised me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you're my mom, quote unquote. You birthed me, but she raised me. And
Yeah.
so when you say that, I have to take it there, because that is the entire facts. Period.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
Period.
agree. Wow.
I just had to break that down for y'all real quick. But T, I thank you for coming on the show. This has been amazing. Where can people follow you if you want them to follow you and get in touch with you?
Listen, I'm not on that many social medias, but I'm on IG. I'm on IG. I'm secretly on TikTok, but you can follow me on IG at T Crank. It's just TeeCrank. You know, my page is private, so I might decide to follow you or not. We'll see.
Right. Because we grown out here, so we don't be coming on her page with all that bullshit either. All right.
Listen,
Listen, because we don't tolerate. All right. Listen, I want to thank T for coming on the show again, and I want to thank you all for watching and listening. Please subscribe to the Black Men Win podcast wherever you listening to podcasts via audio. We are on Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music. We're everywhere where you can listen to it, and you can watch this on YouTube when the episode drops. So please subscribe. We're going to have, well, by the time this episode comes out, we will have Black Women Win merch already out. And this merch will be for the whole month of March. It's only exclusive for the whole month of March, so you better get it while it is here. So tap in with that, and you get an extra 25% off using our promo code THC fam. And yeah, man, I just want to say again, thank you, T Crank, for this amazing interview. This has been
thank you.
another one. And we outie. Y'all be good, love, peace, and hair grease.